All right. I hope that you guys have enjoyed your time off, but we do need to get to work. One of the things you can be sure of is that we will end up skipping a couple of the things that we were going to cover, but I do want you to get you guys writing and get a look at what you come up with. So I am going to ask you to complete this one task in addition to the homework. That I have assigned for next week. I'm not putting up any additional homework besides having you watch this video and do the activity that I described there. So please do make sure that you do this, because I think that this will be a helpful activity for you. All right. The thing that I want to talk about briefly is about free writing. So what we're going to do in this activity is I'm going to have you do something that's called free writing. It's one of the techniques that I want you to learn, which is a way for you to come up with ideas for writing. To come up with ideas for writing. In your ESL classes, a lot of times you'll be given topics for writing, but you'll have to come up with what to say. Certainly as you go through your English 111 classes, and then later on when you're in your history and your other classes that require more writing, you are going to be faced with situations where you'll be given a topic and you'll need to write about that topic. Now for this activity today, I'm not going to give you a specific topic. Really, I'm going to say you can write about anything, because our focus today is really not about what you're saying or the ideas. The focus of this lesson is just learning how to free write. Then in addition to that, learning how to format a paragraph, and also learning how to edit the paragraph that you've written. So those will be the things that I'm looking for. All right. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to follow these 4 steps. The first thing that you need to do is you need to get a paper and a pen or a pencil. Okay. Then you need to set a timer, and you can do this on your phone or you can just watch the clock, but set it for 10 minutes. Okay. And then I want you to just go ahead and start writing. And once you start that timer, keep on writing until the 10 minutes are over. The most important thing of this activity is that you don't stop writing. It really, again, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter if you start on one topic and you move over to another topic. You're still going to be able to complete the activity. But I want you to just continue to write and to keep on letting the ideas come out. I know that this is a difficult thing to do, but really try to do this for the whole 10 minutes. Okay, so let me give you a sense of I did this activity and I did it a typewritten, and this is what I came up with. Now, so once you've taken the time and written everything down, you're going to have something along this line. Now, I did this on a computer, and this is in English, and that's my native language. So I'm obviously going to write probably more than what I'd expect you to write. But let me talk to you about what you need to do once you've written this down. Okay. So the first step after you have written this down on a piece of paper is you need to read what you've written. And I recommend that you read it aloud, and as you read it, you look for mistakes that you can catch. Now, these mistakes could be spelling mistakes, they could be grammar mistakes with your verb tenses. They could be, punctuation or capitalization mistakes. Any of those are possible. The thing that I'd encourage you to do is, as you read it aloud, if you see a mistake, you can either fix it right away or you can circle it so that you know that it's a mistake that you're going to need to fix. This is a problem that a lot of students have, is that, and I have it too, when you're assigned something, a lot of times people just want to write it and be done with it. and they don't take the time to look over what they have written, or they just look over it very quickly without taking the time to really read what they've written, where they'll be able to find a lot of mistakes. So let me show you what I mean by that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read this out loud. Here's an example of what I mean by free writing. I know that I'm doing this on a computer rather than on a piece of paper, but the process is the same. What you want to do is to just keep on putting ideas down. It doesn't have to be super fast, but you should avoid taking a lot of time to think about what you're going to say or about your spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes. I know that this is a lot more difficult if you're doing this in a foreign language. Sorry for you, but you are trying to master a new language, and that will come with some difficulties. The goal of this activity, and I can see that that's spelled wrong, is to shut off the part of your brain that is critical of what you're trying to say. That part of the brain is important, and we'll need to use it later, but it gets in the way of writing, especially at the beginning. As we go through the semester, we will learn a couple of ways to get IDEs, that should be ideas, so I need to fix that one, flowing. This is just one of many techniques that you can use. The problem that a lot of students have when they approach writing is they think of writing as a one-step process. They get their paper and pen and then they write. The reality is that writing, particularly academic or professional writing, is not as simple as that. Just as you would need to take time to prepare if you were making a meal or if you were playing a sport, writing takes some preparation. The truth is that the more you write, the less preparation you need. But in the beginning, you need to take the time to go through the steps that allow you to come up with better ideas. If you just rush into writing with the goal of getting it finished as quickly as possible, the thing that you end up creating will not be as good as it could be. Now, I know that not all of you enjoy writing. In fact, it's possible that most of you don't like it at all. However, part of what we are trying to do in this class is to make your writing better, whether you enjoy doing it or not. That is the goal of the class. I hope that you are able to leave the class with more confidence in your ability to tackle a writing assignment. As you go through the levels of ESL, you will have to write more and more. Hopefully, your teachers will challenge you with a variety of different subjects that you will write about. This is both good and bad for you. It's good because you don't have to always be writing about the same thing, like why you came to this country or the great places to visit in your home country. However, it's also bad because writing about something new is challenging, especially if you don't feel that you have the vocabulary that you need to express the complex thoughts that you have. There's no way to get around that difficulty. It's something that you have to face. However, if you force yourself to go through the steps that we discuss, you'll find it getting easier and easier. The activity that I'm going to have you do will introduce you to a couple of those steps. Okay, so I was able to write that in 10 minutes. And so now that I've read it aloud, I found a couple of spelling mistakes that I'm going to go ahead and fix. If I was editing this in a different way and revising it in a different way, there's a lot more things that I would fix. But for right now, the main mistakes I found were spelling. But let me tell you about what you are going to need to do with your paragraph now. So once you have written this down on a piece of paper, I want you to copy what you've written on another piece of paper. And the first thing as you copy it that you want to do is you need to indent the first line of text. Let me show you what that means. So what indent means is that you put a space, normally if you're typing, you would hit the tab button, which is in the left-hand corner. If you're writing on a piece of paper, you want to leave about, maybe an inch or basically about 3 centimeters of space at the beginning of what you write. So this space right here before here. Now the reason that we indent in formal writing is that it tells the reader that a new paragraph and a new set of ideas is coming. There's other ways to also do this, but I want you to learn how to indent, particularly when we have a paragraph that's written just by itself, we definitely want to indent it to make it clear that it's a new paragraph. Okay? So the next thing that you want to do as you write this is you want to make sure that you're skipping every other line or double spacing. So on the computer, you can go ahead and just highlight everything and double space it. When you're writing, what you'll do is you'll just skip every other line. Now, this is a really important step. The main reason is that what you're turning in is something that's going to be graded and corrected. If you don't double space it, it's very difficult for the professor to make corrections. But even when you're not turning in something for a grade, it's often good to double space because it's actually easier for someone to read something that's double spaced rather than something that has no space in between it. It's just easier on the eyes. So make sure that you double space. All right, so then let's go over the next couple of steps, and I'm going to group all of these ones together. But these are things you need to do as you're copying your text. So you want to make sure that you capitalize the first word of every sentence, and you want to make sure you capitalize names. So by names, I mean names of people, names of cities, names of languages, names of countries. Those things need to be capitalized. You also need to capitalize the letter I. I noticed in some of your writing that some of you weren't doing that. You also want to make sure that your verbs are the correct form and tense. So if you're writing about the past, your verbs should be in the past tense. If you're writing about the present, they should be in the present tense. If you're talking about he, she, or it in the present tense, most of the time you're going to need to add an S to the end of the verb. So make sure that as you're going through, each sentence has a verb and that the verb is the correct form. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that as you write, you're putting a period at the end of each sentence. Now, some of your sentences may be questions. In that case, that's fine. Put a question mark at the end of it. But remember, at the end of every sentence, it should be a period. One of the things you're allowed to do in some other languages that you can't do in English is to use commas to separate sentences. Don't do that. In English, it normally creates problems. Sometimes it's correct, but most of the time it's not. So at the end of each sentence, you should put a period. You also want to double check and make sure that all the words that you write are spelled correctly. If you have in the past, if you do notice that you do make a lot of spelling mistakes, one good idea is to keep a list of the words that you're spelling incorrectly, just to make yourself aware of them. Because oftentimes we get in the habit of always spelling a word incorrectly, and you stop thinking about it. But you should make yourself aware of mistakes that you're making. So those are the things that you're going to need to do. And what I will ask you to bring into next class, is I want both copies of what you have written. So I want a copy of the thing that you wrote for 10 minutes. And then I also want a copy of the corrected paragraph that you wrote. So you should be turning in 2 things. Okay? If you have any questions, please send me an email, and I'm happy to help you out. Good luck with this. Take care. Bye.